Ladies and gentlemen, space enthusiasts, and fellow cosmic explorers, prepare to blast off into the zany world of astronauts. We're about to embark on a mission through 50 weird facts about those intrepid space travelers. 1. Astronauts wear diapers during spacewalks because, well, there are no rest stops in outer space. It's like the ultimate intergalactic road trip. 2. In space, you can't cry. Not because of the emotional distance, but because tears don't fall in microgravity. Space tears just float around like tiny, salty satellites. 3. If you sneeze in space, those tiny droplets could potentially contaminate your spacecraft, which is why astronauts are experts at suppressing sneezes. Gesundheit and Godspeed. 4. Astronauts have a strange diet in space, including vacuum-sealed foil pouches of scrambled eggs. It's like brunch at the Moon Cafe. 5. Space missions can last for months, so astronauts often resort to eating tortillas instead of bread, because breadcrumbs are not only messy, but also a potential fire hazard in a spacecraft. Space toasters are not a thing yet. 6. During their long missions, astronauts exercise religiously to prevent muscle and bone loss. They literally do jumping jacks in zero gravity. Now that's a cosmic workout. 7. Astronauts have to deal with a not-so-pleasant aroma of their own body odor in space. In microgravity, sweat doesn't evaporate, so it lingers like a lingering space cloud. 8. Space may be silent, but in a spaceship, you can hear the sound of the ventilation system, which some astronauts describe as the never-ending hum of the mothership. 9. Astronauts are incredibly talented at playing space Tetris with their cargo. They have to fit everything they need for the mission into tight quarters, just like packing for a vacation, but with more rocket fuel. 10. Space toilets are a thing, and they use airflow to suck waste into a vacuum chamber. It's like a cosmic vacuum cleaner for your, well, you know. 11. Astronauts experience something called space burps, where gas doesn't rise to the top of their stomachs because there's no up or down in microgravity. Floating burps anyone. 12. In space, a sneeze can propel you backward, which could make for some interesting zero-gravity acrobatics. Astronauts have to brace themselves. 13. Sleeping in space can be a challenge because there's no up or down. Astronauts often sleep in sleeping bags strapped to the walls, making it feel like a real-life space slumber party. 14. Astronauts have to exercise for 2 hours a day to maintain their muscle and bone mass in microgravity. Imagine doing jumping jacks while floating upside down. It's like a cosmic circus act. 15. Did you know that astronauts can see shooting stars from space? They're basically living inside a never-ending cosmic fireworks show. 16. Despite their high-tech equipment, astronauts still rely on good old-fashioned duct tape to fix things in space. It's like the universal tool of the cosmos. 17. Space has its own version of pizza delivery. Astronauts can enjoy their favorite pizza toppings, just freeze-dried and vacuum-sealed. Space pepperoni, anyone? 18. In space, water floats around in the form of floating blobs or spheres, which can be a fun way to stay hydrated, or an impromptu water balloon fight. 19. Astronauts have to keep their fingernails short because long nails can be hazardous in a spacesuit. Imagine trying to scratch your nose inside a helmet. 20. Even in space, astronauts have to do their laundry, but instead of water, they use a special detergent that cleans clothes without the need for rinsing. Space-saving indeed. 21. Astronauts use Velcro to keep their belongings from floating away. It's like the ultimate cosmic sticky note. 22. Spacewalks may look cool, but astronauts have to be careful not to touch the spacecraft with their gloves, because they can inadvertently scratch the delicate thermal insulation. 23. Speaking of spacewalks, astronauts wear diapers during them as well. Imagine floating in a spacesuit with a full bladder, not exactly a stellar experience. 24. Astronauts often have to learn a new language before going to space, like Russian, if they're flying with the Russian Space Agency. Talk about reaching for the stars with Rosetta Stone. 25. Space may be cold, but astronauts can experience extreme temperature changes inside their spacesuits. from negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit in the shade to 250 degrees Fahrenheit in direct sunlight. It's like an interstellar sauna session. 26. In microgravity, astronauts can grow up to 2 inches taller due to the lack of gravitational pressure compressing their spine. It's like an unexpected growth spurt. 27. Astronauts have to eat their tortillas quickly in space, or they'll turn into a floating cloud of crumbs that can wreak havoc on the spacecraft's equipment. 28. Astronauts have to exercise while listening to music to help pass the time during their cosmic workouts. Imagine doing push-ups to the beat of Rocket Man. 29. Space missions can lead to some interesting hairstyles because there's no gravity to keep your hair in place. Welcome to the world of cosmic bedhead. 30. Even though they're weightless, astronauts can't escape doing laundry. They use a special machine that sprays detergent and water onto their clothes while they float around inside. 31. Astronauts have to be incredibly careful when drinking liquids in space, as a floating drop of water could potentially damage equipment or electronics. 32. The International Space Station has its own espresso machine, so astronauts can enjoy a zero-gravity cup of joe. It's like a cosmic Starbucks. 33. In space, your sense of taste can be affected due to fluid shifts in your body. Some astronauts say that their favorite foods taste different in orbit. 34. Astronauts have to be well versed in troubleshooting because there's no space AAA to call if their spacecraft breaks down. 35. Space travel can be isolating, and astronauts can go weeks without seeing other humans in person. They become experts at having one-way conversations with their robotic companions. 36. Astronauts use special pens that can write in zero gravity, but they still have to be careful not to let the ink float away and ruin their equipment. 37. Astronauts have a unique perspective on Earth. They often talk about how it's the most beautiful thing they've ever seen, which is why they come back as strong advocates for protecting our planet. 38. Spacewalks can be physically demanding, but they're also incredibly rewarding. Astronauts often describe the experience as being in the best place in the universe. 39. Despite the rigorous training, some astronauts experience space fog, a feeling of disorientation and forgetfulness when adapting to microgravity. 40. Astronauts aboard the ISS have to exercise on specialized equipment to maintain their muscle and bone mass. It's like having a cosmic gym membership. 41. Space is a noisy place because there's no air to carry sound waves. Astronauts communicate using radios and headsets, making it like a never-ending intercom conversation. 42. While astronauts can't have pets in space, they do have the occasional company of mice or other animals for scientific experiments. It's like a small zoo in the cosmos. 43. Some astronauts experience a peculiar phenomenon known as the space adrenaline rush when they first arrive in orbit. It's like a cosmic roller coaster for the senses. 44. Astronauts often find creative ways to stay entertained in space, from playing musical instruments to filming videos of everyday life in microgravity. 45. Spacewalks can be physically demanding, and astronauts can lose up to 2 liters of sweat during a single excursion. Talk about a cosmic workout. 46. Despite being in space, astronauts have to keep their Earth legs strong by using resistance bands to prevent muscle atrophy. 47. Astronauts can grow fresh vegetables on the International Space Station, making them the ultimate space gardeners. 48. Space missions often have a floating fruit bowl filled with floating fruits and vegetables for the astronauts to enjoy. 49. Astronauts have to eat with special utensils that prevent food from floating away. It's like a cosmic game of catch. 50. And now for the grand finale. Astronauts who spend extended periods in space return to Earth with a newfound appreciation for our blue planet. They become champions for science, exploration, and the preservation of our incredible home. So while their experiences may be weird and wacky, they remind us that we're all on this cosmic journey together. Like, comment, and subscribe to celebrate the fascinating world of astronauts and keep exploring the weird and wonderful universe that surrounds us. Stay curious, my friends.